Okay, well, this is really where I get excited, and I don't want to downplay the fact that there's already 11 million ounces.
Looking to deliver a PFS closer to the end of this year for publication early next year, which I see as a major de-risking event.
Everybody likes to get involved in a story that they think is going to be a winner, and I really do think this project will be a winner, and I think it's going to be a big winner.
I'm Fausto di Trapani, the CEO of Tiernan Gold, and I'm joined today with Chris Taylor, one of our directors.
Hi, Fausto. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, not bad. And what's our estimated physical distance from each other on this little conversation here?
I'd say, Chris, I find myself in the Kruger National Park in South Africa, so I'd say we're probably 16,000 kilometers away.
That's the miracle of modern science, right? So on my part, I have Elon Musk to thank. So we've already alienated maybe half of our listenership here. So, because I'm using Starlink and it's working great in the middle of an Alberta snowstorm, as you can see out the window behind me.
And indeed, jeez.
So, we thought we'd put a little bit of a discussion together because we got a bunch of investor questions related to Tiernan and the project and everything else. And I'm really happy to be working with you now. So, very impressed with the work that you did getting everything together through the RTO process. So I got a lot of positive feedback there. And some of the meetings that we did together, I could tell you really knew your stuff. And I know your background, it's financial, but I have to say you could go toe to toe with a bunch of geos and slug it out to good effect. So kudos to you. You're off to a really good start.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. I'm certainly very, very pleased to be here, Chris.
So I'll get a few of these questions up. So I'm going to pop them up on my screen, and I think we have probably in total maybe a couple of dozen. We'll see what we can get through here. But one of the first questions that I got asked about, which I think you're really well suited to answer, is Fausto, what investment advantages does Tiernan Gold offer today with the changes from the RTO?
Certainly a good question, Chris, and one I've been receiving a lot as well. Tiernan now a properly capitalized gold developer with a single focus. We're focused on advancing the large, long life Volcan heap leach project in the well understood Maricunga district in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
We're on a belt that, in my view, rewards scale, and we're in great company with a number of projects being advanced either through construction or rapidly advancing to construction. The RTO and the $58 million in financing give the company the funding and the market visibility to move from a private hostile incubator into a fully independent developer. We finally get to sequence technical work at the pace the project warrants. We've got the size, scale, and now the funding ultimately to advance the project, which for all intents and purposes has been dormant for the better part of 15 years, Chris.
Yeah, no, it really is a good start. And as the previous CEO of Railtown, which has now ceased to be, I have to say I'm very happy to see this asset go into our portfolio. We could talk about that a little bit later. And the financing gives us a lot of runway. I mean, just off the top of your head, Fausto, I mean, that $53 million in cash, that'll do a lot of damage in a positive sense for the shareholder base now in Tiernan.
Absolutely, Chris. The initial work that's obviously been culminated over the last 2 or 3 years shows that the $53 million in financing will get us through PFS, environmental approvals, and a good chunk of the DFS done as well. So I think it sets the company up wonderfully without having to kind of come back to the markets to raise additional capital to continue to progress the project. I think it's a wonderful position to be in.
Yeah, that's really going to be good. And it kind of segues into one of the next questions that we had, which was really, this is a populated mining space in the sense that gold's been doing really well. Other metals are doing really well. Like, why should investors pay attention to Tiernan right now? Like right now, today, why is Tiernan a compelling case instead of waiting for this PFS that we've been talking about bringing to the market? So why should they pay attention right now?
Sure. Look, Chris, both you know and I know, catalysts are ultimately value unlockers.
Hmm.
And from my perspective, I see a few catalysts in the near future which are going to be substantial value unlockers.
Hmm.
We're looking to update our geological model.
Hmm.
We're looking to optimize our flow sheet with expected operating costs and capital cost improvements. And
Hmm.
as you mentioned, Chris, we're looking to deliver a PFS closer to the end of this year for publication early next year, which I see as a major de-risking event. Uh,
Yeah.
I'd say, in my experience, developers often double in value between PEA and PFS when the fundamentals are strong. Volcan, in my view, has a lot of those fundamentals: bottom quartile operating costs, massive scale, and a very
Hmm.
supportive macro environment. So I think, between now and the publication of the PFS, there's many catalysts that I think are going to unlock substantial value at Volcan.
Yeah, look, I'm totally with you, obviously, and as a board member, happy to be part of that process. So,
Mhm.
if you had to outline it a little bit on a sort of a quarter by quarter or a little bit of a timeline perspective, how do you think these deliverables will come to bear in the market, roughly? Like, you're not going to get shot if you miss these, but we do want some sort of general idea of what's coming down the road here.
Yeah, look, I mean, I still kind of getting my head fully around things here, Chris. But certainly, what I've seen so far, I see, like I mentioned, a few catalysts coming up pretty quickly. Q1 2026 geological model update and potential upgrade in grade as we tighten things up. As we speak right now, Chris, we're working through a 17,000-meter core relogging exercise incorporating alteration, structural controls, as well as lithology into the model,
Hmm.
refining our understanding of grade and gold distribution in the deposit. I think
Hmm.
that's going to be a substantial value unlocker.
Hmm.
That allows us in Q2 2026 to update our mineral resource estimate.
Hmm.
In Q3 of 2026, metallurgy and flow sheet optimization results. We're currently out to tender with two local labs in Vancouver for a test work program. We're looking to further understand cyanide demand and copper and gold deportment at both higher grade and lower grade ranges of the deposit.
For sure.
And then also further understand the interplay between HPGR, higher recovery, and cyanide demand, as well as if or when copper in solution impacts gold recovery. So I think we'll be in a position to really button that down over the course of Q2, Q3. And then
Mhm.
in Q4 of 2026, we're looking to have our PFS completion with a publication in early 2027, Chris. Over
That's a
the course,
lot of, yeah, it's a lot of information coming out to the market. It's really good.
yeah, exactly. Over the course of 2026 and 2027, we're obviously going to continue the advancement of our permitting work stream with the view to submit an EIA during 2027. So, look, for me, these are substantial value inflection points. Each one reduces risk, tightens project economics, and unlocks value for all stakeholders.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's amazing to see. And like it's just de-risk after de-risk. Every time we go through one of these processes, we understand the project better. We understand how to get the most value out of it, and we get a handle on all the costs that get associated with the development. So I think that's going to be a story that, we can really generate a lot of ongoing interest with. Then I'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things that I think the project will bear over that time too, when I hand over the grilling into your capable hands. So, but another question. So I'm going through my question list here. So, like for investors looking for higher potential or lower risk mining investments, what's the major de-risking initiative that Tiernan has undertaken? I guess it, in a way, I'm asking you the same thing, but a little bit of a different angle of looking at this process.
Yeah, and I think some of it's also historical, Chris. Again,
Hmm.
we're starting off with a lot of work that's taken place from 2023 through to 2025. So I'd say, look,
Hmm.
firstly on the geological model, it's well constrained. It's certainly not conceptual here,
Hmm.
Chris. A lot of work has gone into that. Second, I'd say water rights are in hand, and we've got wells that are drilled, they're cased, they're tested, which I believe is a major project differentiator and also a
Hmm.
major hurdle in Chile.
Yeah.
Look, Chris, I also I don't want to play. Sorry, I don't want to downplay the permitting aspects of using water in mining applications, but permitted water rights, in my view, are a significant project differentiator.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you. I'm with you there. That's a point that really stood out in our due diligence process when we were looking at this project in the first place.
yeah. And then thirdly, I'd say we've got a whole lot of historical feasibility level data. It means we're not starting from scratch, Chris. We're not starting from zero. We're validating and optimizing through this process in 2026 and 2027. So I think, there's a number of kind of de-risking initiatives that have already taken place at Tiernan, and we're going to continue to refine that over the course of this work program.
Yeah. Well, and this really goes to the next question too. Like I was sat through a number of these meetings when we were getting the message out and doing sort of the financing work, and we had some good
Mm.
ones together as well. But people know about this project. It's not like this is a brand new discovery, right? This is something that's been around for a while. The question came up, and I think we all know the answer, but we're really being a little bit cheeky with asking the question here. But why is the Volcan project viable now versus where it sat a decade ago?
If I had to distill it, Chris, I'd distill it into kind of two main reasons. Number one, gold price backdrop. That's an obvious reason. And I think another one is the very difficult permitting backdrop in the past. Additionally, as I think of the flow sheets, I'd say in the past our flow sheet designs were complex,
Hmm.
energy hungry,
Hmm.
and highly capital intensive. The PA will look to incorporate new operating approaches, uh, new cost structure, and HPGR, which is a game changer for this type of ore. The economics today look fundamentally different, and that's before we get stuck into the optimizations, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, so I mean, like we kind of as we wrap it up on your side here, how should investors think about the project long term? Like, what else can you add about that one? Because this is a big project. There's a lot of gold in the ground. That's something that I don't think anybody disputes. How is this going to play out over the longer term?
Yeah, look, I think we're at PEA level, advancing to PFS. Chris, I'd say there's still plenty of water to flow under this bridge as it relates to funding. That being said, we've got multiple levers, strategic partners, project finance banks, equipment finance, and at these low operating cost levels, royalty and streaming solutions could be very interesting and very effective to finance the projects. I'd say importantly, Tiernan are now structured as an independent developer. We're not relying on a single funding path going forward. But look, Chris, I think there's still a substantial amount of work, right, that we're going to have to do to really understand what this project ultimately looks like before we start thinking about how we're going to finance the build itself.
For sure. No, I agree with you 100%. And it really comes down to the value here, like the potential value of this project. Like, what do you see? Like, we're just starting trading here as Tiernan is the new vehicle, the
Mhm.
public vehicle. Like, what do you think? What do you think the market is going to reflect on value? Like, what do you think? How this is going to develop? How is it going to play out over the near term?
Yeah, look, I think scale's already proven here, Chris. The pit
Hmm.
contains over 6 million ounces of gold, and the
Hmm.
metallurgy is heap leach friendly.
Hmm.
Importantly, 6 million ounces in that pit, Chris. As you know, they're constrained at around $1,500 gold. So the upside there is substantial, right? The Look, projects of this size in this jurisdiction with this level of technical maturity, they simply don't trade at early stage valuations, Chris.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
disconnect closes as the catalysts land. And I think another thing, Chris, as I think about the valuation disconnect is politics. We saw over the weekend some positive movements as it relates to politics in Chile. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, Jose Antonio Cast won the elections, so right leaning leader. I think that's going to do really well for the project. It's going to give us 4 years of hopefully reduction of red tape, and moving through permitting a lot quicker than perhaps was originally anticipated. And I think, as we continue to land these catalysts, that valuation gap is going to close, and it's going to close, in my view, quite rapidly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't see a lot of parallels here that really have this kind of potential that were especially available as undeveloped projects in the market today.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that kind of wraps it up from my angle at you. Maybe we could put the shoe on the other foot here and see how I react to your pummeling.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. So the first question I've got here is how is Volcan fundamentally different from other undeveloped gold projects?
Well, anecdotally, I would just convey that I looked at this project 5 or 6 years ago, actually,
Hmm.
and we did some pretty serious due diligence on it there. And, I have this little notebook. I guess people want to know a little bit how the review process works. And it has, when I get an incoming project that I really like, I write down all the key fundamental parameters. And this one had a giant star scribbled across it, which said basically, you got to keep your eye on this. If it becomes available and we see the right backdrop in terms of geopolitics and market, this thing will really take off. And hence, this stands out because, we're looking at like an 11 million ounce resource already defined. Right. So I think about where I was at with Great Bear when we sold that project a few years ago and where that's got to in defined resource today. I have to think about what's in the public domain, but I think it's about 6.4 to 6.7 million ounces that they've got currently defined. And I think about the value of that. It's certainly billions of dollars. So here we are looking at a project which is bigger in terms of the defined gold endowment, at the moment. And it's got some really positive technical characteristics as well. Like from my point of view, the gold is really easy to get to. It's located in the near surface. So you're going to be looking at a really low strip ratio, probably like, 1.5 to 1. Like it's really got some really positive characteristics, like good recoveries from a heap leach perspective. It's going to have all these things stacked up in its favor, but size really matters, in this sense. So there's a lot of projects out there that look pretty good on paper, but we want something that's going to be absolutely interesting from a major gold project, a major producer perspective, and Volcan definitely has those characteristics.
Absolutely, with technical maturity as well, right, Chris?
Yeah.
It's technically mature, 150,000 meters of historical drilling, and like we said a little bit earlier, it's on the Maricunga belt. It's a belt that produces gold and produces lots of gold.
Yeah, exactly. You got to think like with today's gold prices, I mean, look at the value that are in these studies, right? The values that are used in the PEA. I
Yeah,
mean, like think about what a gram of gold is worth in the rock right now. I think at today's gold prices, uh, I don't have the mental math with me. It's about got to be close to $140 a gram US,
yep,
right? So
4,000 divide. Yeah,
yeah, so I mean, like in that sense, like imagine what it looks like from an open pit, low strip ratio mining process. That's probably all in. My guess is about $15 a ton for mining it, processing it, the G&A, and all this. And then you're looking at a very attractive, based on these grades, the accessibility. You're looking at a very attractive margin per ton.
indeed. Yeah, great. What's this one's straight for you, Chris, in your wheelhouse. What initially attracted you and the Railtown folk to the opportunity?
Well, it really is that unique combination of technical attributes and size. And I like the area. Like there's a funny element here where I've got this weird ongoing relationship with Kinross after the Great Bear story. And here you're basically surrounded by Kinross operations. So if you think about what works for the majors, like where are they building their most value? Like they're building it in this region, like this Maricunga region is absolutely critical. Like, so we're looking at, I think Kinross in this area has La Coipa, which is an operation,
Okay.
Lobo Marte. and Metacunga. So these are major projects. Like in aggregate, these are tens of millions of ounces of gold. There's a track record of production in this region. There's a familiarity
Mhm.
with production, and there's a growing infrastructure in the region as well, which supports these major operations. So the technical aspects got me interested, and the region and the local operators are also very interesting to me. And as you
Incidentally,
mentioned, well, as you mentioned as well, like the change in politics recently in Chile, like it's part of this broader view, I think, in Latin America right now. There's some fatigue with some of the socialist rhetoric and lack of progress that these populations have seen over the last number of years, and there has been a move towards a much more business-friendly environment. So Jose Antonio Cast, like him getting elected here, is a very positive mood. I think he's made some very positive statements about streamlining the permitting process for mines in
indeed.
Chile, and those are all things that could work, very strongly in Tiernan's direction to their advantage.
Absolutely, business-friendly environment, right? It gives us a wonderful 4-year runway here, Chris, as we advance things.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I went to go visit the project site not so long ago, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and our one of our water wells is literally a stone's throw away from Kinross's Lobo Marte mine.
It's amazing, eh? Yeah, I know. At one point, I do talk to the Kinross guys, once in a while, get updated on the progress at the Great Bear
Mm,
project and just see how everybody's doing. And it would be really great to catch up with them about how things are going in this area. So I think during the PDAC conference, there'll probably be some beers or whatever being consumed, and we can trade stories.
indeed. This is another one for you, Chris. What are the biggest geological opportunities still open at Volcan?
Okay, well, this is really where I get excited. And I don't want to downplay the fact that there's already 11 million ounces to find on this project. So, but we got to think about what the total upside is. Like, this is a big volcanic complex, volcano, right? So, this is clearly sitting on top of a major kind of porphyry style target. And there are many zones that have been drilled on this project which are not included in the resource, right? So if you thought about just the trend along surface here of 5 or 6 kilometers,
Mhm.
there's a number of other zones that need to be added on to that current 11 million ounce resource base. And there's some great drill holes. Like one that keeps coming up to mind is there's a zone that is not included, which was drilled that has 122 meters of about a gram and a half in it. So very exciting. And then I think about it, and I've done quite a bit of porphyry exploration and exploitation work in my career. We made some great discoveries at another company I'm involved with called Kodiak Copper, just applying very simple geological models that arise from this sort of concentric zonation pattern that we see at porphyries. And these are a little bit like nested doll, Russian doll sort of effects, right? So
Mhm.
you have a predictable pattern of going from the outside, pyrite dominated, gold rich, low copper envelopes on these porphyries to areas that have high copper, high grade gold, high grade copper. I've done it before. I was working at the Red Chris project in BC. We put the Mount Poly mine back in production 20 years ago when I was with Imperial Metals. Did a lot of good exploration work based on those sort of models. And I look at the Volcan project, and there is currently no known source for the mineralization that we're seeing. The rocks that have the gold in them are not the rocks that brought the gold there. So I think with some exploration work applied, not that we need more than 11 million ounces, but it's this obvious glaring potential in my mind for another major discovery or even a series of discoveries. So I think over the long term with this project, I would be extremely surprised if the resources that are currently known are the only resources that end up being here. And while that may not be important in the short term, from developing the project over what we know about, over the long term, if I were a major producer and I was working in this area and I was looking at the assets, knowing what the total potential of the Volcan project is could have massive additional benefits for the Tiernan shareholders. So I think over the long term, having some of this exploration work go on at the same time as the project development could be a really good recipe for unlocking additional value.
That's wonderful, Chris. I mean, my summary here is it's not a drill to prove it exists project. It's a drill to upgrade and expand project, right? There's a huge amount of potential and opportunity here. But look, I suppose at the end of the day, we've got 12 million ounces of gold on mining concessions that are ready to progress to environmental approvals. This is just some additional upside that we're not getting any credit for at the moment.
Yeah, well, this is my wheelhouse. This is some of our team members. This is our specialty. So I think
Mhm.
yeah, I think we could expect some pleasant surprises as we go forward with this project.
Awesome. Where does Volcan sit competitively in your mind, Chris, against other undeveloped gold assets globally?
Well, it sits very well. As a matter of fact, I'd say just roughly, it's probably the top quartile of heap leach developers. So you look around the
Bottom.
world, it's going to be in that top bracket, which is really good. The all-in sustaining costs of $1,100 an ounce are really really competitive, and it makes the PEA very competitive. And obviously, we're going to be looking at some pretty, I think, very positive updates when we get to the PFS. And we're hoping to optimize this over the course of the PFS. So with the data that we have, the information that we're working on, I think you're going to see something that comes out as a very positive upgrade on that current understanding. And on the timeline, we're actually ahead of many developers because there's so much baseline historical work already done. We've got the geotech, we've got the hydrology, we've got the metallurgy, and the permitting is actually well on its way as well. So, this is not greenfields. There's been a lot of work done on the project. We benefit from having a lot of drill data, a lot of assay data, all the metallurgy, everything else. We really are ahead of a lot of the competition.
Yeah, indeed. I'd certainly agree, Chris. And I think all-in sustaining costs at $1,100. You look at the last World Gold Council, I think Q2 2025 numbers. We're sitting very low in that cost curve. I
Absolutely.
think it tops out at around $1,300 at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great, Chris. Thank. You've put your own capital to work here, Chris. As have I. What part of the story is most important to you as an investor?
You know, when I think about this, everybody likes to get involved in a story that they think is going to be a winner. And I really do think this project will be a winner. And I think it's going to be a big winner. And it's, the data that I've seen, there's nothing in the data. And we did a lot of due diligence, and you and I have done a lot of due diligence independently. Like, you ultimately were in the same position as me in a way. You had to pick a good project to get involved with after your recent successes, right? So we both did probably a very similar assessment, and it's a logical assessment. Where else would we be able to get involved at this early of a stage off a project that has this kind of upside potential? And so I really like the fact that we've had the technical de-risking on here. We're going to go through all these landmarks that you were discussing on the way up to the PFS. And personally, I think there's a huge amount of exploration and discovery potential remaining. So you want to put your money somewhere where you're going to expect growth. And I think we can say that we have a very good chance of delivering that for our shareholders. But I think there's also going to be surprises to the upside as well. And those are that extra torque that you can get on an investment. And I think that's what really got me involved here.
Yeah, I'd agree, Chris. From my perspective, it was scalability and simplicity.
Hmm.
Ultimately, you
Hmm.
rarely find a gold project where geology, metallurgy, mining method, and the permitting framework all kind of line up, supported by the optionality that a 12 million ounce deposit brings.
Well,
I think that brings.
yeah, we're not talking about trying to mine asteroids or mine the seafloor or some other, science fiction type thing. We are literally surrounded by similar deposits, similar major deposits, which are in the hand of major operators. This should be an ideal environment to accomplish the same kind of success.
Exactly. And we've now got the financing and the funding to do that, Chris, to really advance the project at the speed that it deserves, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chris, I think between you and I, we've given each other a reasonable beating as it relates to these questions.
Absolutely. That was really good. And thanks to the miracles of modern technology, we are about as far away as we can get and still be on the same planet. So, the advantage for me is that it's the middle of the day, and for you, it's currently the middle of the night. So I better let you go so you can actually get a little bit of rest.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chris. And once again, just want to say thanks for your help and for your support. It's been an awesome 2 months, kind of getting this RTO done. It was amazing to see that release go out earlier this morning, your time. And certainly from my perspective, very, very excited for TNGD to start trading on Friday.
Yep, go TNGD.
Indeed. Well, thanks for your time, Chris.
Yeah, you too, Fausto. It's always great to chat, and I look forward to seeing you again in person after Christmas.
Indeed. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to reach out.